This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Dan Zitofsky here. He's sitting in Bethany Beach, Delaware right now. I can hear the birds in the background. What a life. This guy has to be quarantined, so he's making the best of it. He does business in emerging markets like Tennessee, Ohio, Delaware, North Carolina, Alabama, any place where it seems to be on the move. And he buys portfolios of distressed notes, reloads them with renters, gets them, I guess, turnkey rental ready, and then owner finances those houses to investors. So it's kind of like the owner finance strategy, but, of course, the strategy that I use, I'm selling to the end user, and it's their home and they're living in it. And he's got a twist on that where he sells to the investor and there's a renter in the house. So, it never ceases to amaze me how many different avenues there are to success in this business. How you doing today, Dan?
Oh, great, Mitch. Thanks so much for having me on. I know we've known each other a few years, and it's nice to finally be on the show. And we talked about this in the past. It's an honor to be here and be with your audience. So. Oh,
well, we're really happy to have you. I haven't heard of this strategy before. Are you financing these investors on a 30-year note, or what does the note look like when you finance the investors these rental properties?
Oh, great question. We do it we do a 30-year AM with a 10-year balloon. Our terms are generally 8.99 to 10.99%. So we're giving better money than they're even seeing. We're giving better terms than they're seeing from a commercial lender generally, because commercial lenders are generally doing a 5 or a 7-year balloon and resets. We're keeping it at a 10-year. And the reason we're doing that is we're keeping the note as powerful as we could. There's this rule of thumb when you're in a note business that you want to have that 10-10-10. And I'm sure you've heard of it, 10% down, a 10-year amortization, and a 10% interest rate. Now, we don't really sell off our notes anymore. Back in the day, and I know you're friends with Eddie Speed, we were big partial. We sold a lot of partials because we tried to recapture a lot of our money. Now we actually enjoy the fruits of our labor, and it allows us, like you said, to sit here at the beach all week and get on the boat and play, because we like our notes. We like that passive income coming in. Our goal is not to sell off our notes anymore. So we hold on to our notes, but we still try to put them together as powerful as possible, just in case we want that strategy of either a partial or borrowing against our note using a collateral assignment. So we have the two options to do that.
Yeah, AKA hypothecating your note, where you pledge it to someone and you borrow against it.
Exactly.
So I forgot to do something, but I need to do it right now. I need to pay homage to our sponsor, TaxFreeFuture.com. Please visit TaxFreeFuture.com. Watch the little 37 video vignettes there. You won't believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. We're going to tell you what they're not telling you. We're going to tell you why they're not telling you, and then you can do with it what you want. But it's very powerful. TaxFreeFuture.com. Thank you. There you go, man. I had to pay the bills. Sorry.
I love it.
So, I do a lot of this in my IRAs too, which is how I help people self-direct their IRAs, which is how I got involved with Tax Free Future. I was just constantly talking to people about, when are you going to quit letting those yahoos in Wall Street throw your money around like it's a basketball, it's something they don't really care about, and get control of it yourself and get some personal relationships with some people where, their first name and their last name and their phone number, and you start doing business with them and you know what you're going to make, or you know what you're going to get if it doesn't work out, as agreed. Something, and a lot more things than than the stock market's going to do, because what do we know about that?
we don't know what's going on. Exactly.
I'm up on that ladder for people to inform me when crap's going downhill. Does anyone call you, Dan, and tell you, what, you might better make some moves here because in the next couple of days this is going to happen? Does anyone call you and tell you?
Not at all. I tell you what, it's funny. I just had a conversation yesterday. A very good friend of mine, he used to be a vice president of a large financial institution on Wall Street. And he says, you better be careful because these second quarter earnings are coming out. You're not watching them. You don't know much about what's going on. And I said, honestly, I really don't know what's going on. I'm not in the stock market. That's not where I play. I play what I'm good at and what my investors are good at. And you're 100% right. It's funny how you mentioned this today, because we just had this conversation yesterday that in the stock market, you have to worry about quarterly earnings. You have to worry about what the insider traders are doing. You have to worry about what CNBC is going to say about the market. There's so much you have to worry about. I like the steady, and there's no guarantee, but I like the steady business of real estate and being part of real estate. And I like being the bank as much as I possibly could.
Well, the day these little houses become worth nothing, your money was worth nothing, weeks ago, and we're probably picking up guns and going somewhere. So
exactly.
That's the way I look at it. The day this little Walmart house that this little Walmart person's living in, they're happy and it's all going down. The day that becomes zero is, the stock market would have long been gone, and in your green paper dollar bill is not going to be worth anything either. So I'm hanging on to my houses. I'll wait for those to be worth zero, and then we'll call it a day. But I don't see it happening. People got to have a place to live.
And it's amazing. It's so elementary, and people don't understand this. It's not being taught in schools these days, but it's so elementary. To get into a house at the price point you can get into a house at these days, if you do seller financing, either as an owner occupant or as an investor, the reason I like working with investors myself, and the reason I try not to sell my houses for cash if I don't have to, I give them the option. If somebody comes to me and I sell them a house for $80,000, and they come to me with $100,000 in their IRA or 401k or equity or insurance policy now, whatever it might be, their Coverdell account, their health savings account, whatever it might be, if they have $100,000 and they want to buy a house at $80,000 as an investor for cash, they only get to buy one, right? The way I do it is I take 30% down or $20,000, whichever is greater. So I can sell them 4 to 5 properties. I just created on a $100,000 house, if I could sell them 4 properties, I just created $400,000, right, in gross value for them. And the tenant's going to pay that house down for them. Okay. So that's why I love what we do. We create more wealth. Now, if you go buy Apple stock or you buy AT&T stock, you put your money down. You're never going to own AT&T. You're never going to own Apple. You're going to own a small smidgen of a percentage that's controlled for you to make money. Somebody else has to lose money. It's a transfer of wealth. So, and then you don't get all the tax benefits. Nobody talks about the tax benefits. But if you're smart, you start looking at the tax benefits of a depreciation, debt reduction, possible appreciation, possible rent increase, possible appreciation. To put $20,000 or $30,000 down on a house and own a house at $100,000, if it doesn't go up $1 in value, it doesn't happen anywhere else. You can't create this kind of wealth anywhere else. So what we provide it's crazy the amount of wealth that we provide for people in this world, not only for ourselves, but for other people. And for what you do, you create housing for people in this world that might not otherwise be able to get those houses because of what banks decide to do. So we create so much wealth and so much opportunity in this world by what we do. And that's what's such a blessing. That's what I love about it. It's making money is not hard. It's what are you doing with that? What are you really doing? What's your legacy? What are you doing with it? That's what I love about it.
The power of leverage, Mm-hmm. You put $80,000 into a $100,000 house and you get one house. Your ROI is very different from putting $20,000 down on 5 houses.
Right.
It's very different. And you're controlling more real estate. You have way more write-offs. If there is any appreciation, it's times 5 now because you got 5 of them, not 1 of them. And the gap starts to grow. I have written extensively on the benefits of the business that you and I do. It's not just about we make money. What makes the business great is everyone around us wins. It was called the 7-way win. Because I had 7 ways that it was a winning situation for different prospects. But turns out I start writing these wins and I keep thinking of more. It ends up like being 15 wins. I don't remember them all right now, but the renter moved into home ownership. That was a winner for them for about the same price. B, a retired person got to invest with something with some really hard collateral behind them. And if they didn't get paid, actually the worst thing would happen is if they got paid as agreed. And the best thing would happen is if they got the collateral because it was worth way more than they loaned. So here's this guy, he's not having to lay awake at night living by the ticker tape, wondering what he's going to be worth in the morning. He knew every day he was solid. I'm either going to get my payments or I'm going to get this house. Either way, I'm a winner. Then there was the neighborhoods benefited because we're buying these crack houses or these dilapidated houses. We're fixing them up. The taxing authorities won, the school districts, the fire departments, because when we bought these houses, they were worth, I'm just throwing out a number. They were on the tax rolls for $30,000. Then we fixed them up, and now they're on the tax rolls at $120,000. So they're bringing in more tax revenue. And then the local economy and the local workers and how much, it just went on and on and on and on. It's a really great it's a really great service to go and rehabilitate or re-put into motion properties that are dead in the water right now. You know what I mean? Like they're dead right now. They're causing problems. Bad things are happening in those houses because they're neglected. And then when you go change all that, it affects everything around them. And a lot of people, and last but not least, Dan and Mitch get to make a little bit of money, and
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You say that, and it's kind of funny as well, because years ago, I used to feel guilty about certain things. And it was my own self-limited beliefs on how I did business, right? I thought for me to do something good for this world, I couldn't make money. It had to be, it almost had to be volunteer, donation, that kind of thing. And that's not true. We do well, and I'm not going to apologize for that, because money is a good thing. It's what you do with money that could be good or bad. And I changed my life around, and I used to buy all the cars and boats and watches. I have a watch collection that could kill a horse. I was a big car guy. I mean, I owned cars that people only dreamed of. I still am a boat guy, but I've limited on, now it's experiences. But I take my money and I do a lot of great things with it. I'm involved in a lot of charitable organizations. I'm building a financial literacy course for youth around the world right now. So I give back a lot, and money is not a bad thing. But it has to be a win-win. And any deal, just like you, Mitch, when you're buying a property, it has to be a win-win for the seller and for yourself as the buyer. When we deal with asset managers and banks, it has to be a win-win. When I deal with my private lenders, it has to be. I can't mule them out. I can't, charge them. Right now, my private lenders will lend money at probably 5%, because they're just so tired of the stock market. They're so tired of the banks. I don't do that to them, so I don't mule them out either, right? So it always has to be a win-win. So yeah, you're right. We do a tremendous. You are doing a tremendous service. You've done well over 1,000 houses. I know that. You've put people in houses that might not otherwise be able to get those houses for whatever reason. It could be credit. It could be income. It could be whatever it is. They don't have enough credit. There's a number of reasons why. I help investors that might not be able to get loans from banks to buy these properties. They only have $40,000 or $50,000. They can't afford a house that we provide. So I help them build their portfolio, to help them with their retirement, to help them with their spouse to stop working, to help put their kids through college. So I feel great about what we do, and I feel great about making money doing it. I don't feel guilty at all.
The lucky investors or the lucky people figure out that it can't all be about just money. There has to be a higher reason. There has to be some side thing that's equally as important as the money. In the beginning, when you're broke, it's about the money. After a while, there's a transition, hopefully the sooner the better, that it has to be about more than that. Because the way I look at it is, I can only eat and drink so much. I don't want a bigger house. I actually want a smaller house. I don't want a faster car. I actually just want something that makes sense for me now. I don't want a bigger boat. And matter of fact, I believe in just renting boats, because you think you own all this stuff. What you figure out very quickly is it owns you.
Exactly. 100%. I mean, geez, I feel like we're the same way. I was like, what's happening to us? Are we getting older, or are we getting smarter?
I own that boat. I'm going to get out it and ride around the lake. Then you get out there and the battery's dead or it doesn't start. So guess what? This boat is telling me I have to go to the shop, blow my whole Saturday, and try to get it started. So the
boat is break out another 1,000. I mean, it doesn't stop. So I agree with you. It's, I'm done with my wife and I had this conversation. We drive by these beautiful houses right here on the water. And I'm like, these are gorgeous. And I'm just like, I can't wait till we can just downsize and just own something small. I don't want maintenance. I want to just pick up and go when I want. Put me on a condo in the water and I'm good. I'll rent a boat just like you. So I think we're both getting wiser in our older age.
So this is a topic I really wanted to talk about. We're taking a long time to get there, but all of this happens in the beginning because of private money. Private money can change the whole landscape of your investing career, really, no matter what strategy you're using. I have $24 million of private money where I pay between 8 and 10%, non-recourse, collateral-only money. It changed my whole life. By the way, I wrote that book, My Life in 1,000 Houses. I started that series in 2008. I just don't know how to change it to My Life in 2,000 Houses now, because topics out there. So, I surpassed like 2,000 houses seller financed in my hometown. I'm not even I'm not even doing it in emerging markets. I'm staying in my county or contiguous counties, maybe. And Dan, let's talk about private money. How important is it to your success?
It's the only reason I am where I am today. It's the only reason. The way I buy assets is a little different than the way you buy assets. I deal direct with asset managers at the banks. I buy pools of assets. I might buy a pool of, 50 to 100 non-performing notes at a time. To do that, hard money just wouldn't work. Sometimes I'm into a deal. It could be 9 months to 3 years before I take that property back. Hard money lenders are short-term, 6 months, maybe a year. The numbers, the financials don't work. So back in 2008, I used to use a lot of hard money. Back in 2008, I got to the point where I was a fix and flipper. I had 8 properties ready to close. So I purchased them, I rehabbed them, they were sold, they were in escrow to close. All 8 of those at that time, the banks pulled out and they stopped funding those deals. So none of those deals closed. I had 3 deals that I was contracted to purchase. I had hard money down. I had $5,000 down on each property. The hard money lenders pulled out at that time. I didn't close on those deals. So that was 11 deals at that time. We didn't get out of those deals until after mid-2013. I estimate I lost over $2 million in opportunity money. Plus, I was negative $4,000 a month from 2008 till 2013. In 2009, I swore to my wife, I said, I never really had private money. I had a deal, a couple people here and there for $50,000. I told her at this point, I'll never base my business around a hard money lender or bank ever again. I said, I have no control. I don't have a business. They can shut me down at any time. And that's exactly, this is 2008-9 today, right now during this pandemic, today. And that's why private money is so important that I put everything else on the shelf away. And I said, listen, I'm going to get the word out there about private money to people, because if you can learn how to raise private money today, you control your business. This becomes your program. You decide how you want to use that money. You decide what kind of terms you offer. You decide what kind of interest rates you offer. You control the draws. You control everything. And if an investor, when I say the investor, the lender doesn't agree with you, then they're not a fit for your program. You don't work with them. Okay, so you control you finally own a business. You finally own a business. You don't have a job. When you're dealing with hard money lenders and banks, you have a job. Just right now, they all pulled out. Not all. There's a couple that still lend, but they changed their terms. Hard money lenders changed their terms. Now they want more money down. They're lending less on an ARV. They want 12 months reserves brought to the table. Geez, I don't blame them. They're protecting themselves and their investors. But if you had all that, do you really even need them? So I think it's mindset. People don't believe they can raise private money. They don't believe how easy it is to raise private money. But what they don't do is they don't put the time, effort, and energy into building a business for themselves. And if they took a little bit of time and effort and energy and put together a business, I call it the private lending presentation and meetings. If they did that, put that together, they had put a bio together, a presentation together, brochures together, legal docs together. If they could put that together, marketing, how to market to potential private lenders. Okay. And when I tell people that, I said, get out of your dirty water. Stop hanging out at the local RIA meetings. Stop hanging out with every other investor and paying all this money to these investors that can go out, and an active investor can make 12 to 20% of their money. They don't need to work with you where you're paying 8 to 10%, Mitch, and I'm paying 6 to 8% generally on my money. They don't need to work with you, right? So, and I always say, I never raise money ever. I speak at all these events. I never raise money at an event I speak at. Where I raise my most money is like your hobbies. Like I'm into boating, so I'm in the part of the Marina Club, right? I'm into cigars. I go to cigar clubs. I'm into wine. I go to wine events. I raise money there. I'm into muscle cars. I go to car events and I talk to people. And that's where I raise my most money.
So let me just tell you what he's talking about. I mean, when I go have a drink somewhere, by the way, I quit drinking and smoking on August the 1st of 2019.
All right. Good job.
But when I used to drink and when I want to socialize, or when I want to, I don't know, what's the word? Get on the prowl to find private money, I put on my hunting hat, I don't go drink where there's a $1.50 beer special. I want to go drink where beers are $10. $10 a beer. Not any special beer. It's the same beer that's down the street for $1.50, but it's the place that I'm drinking at. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It may not be quite $10 a beer, but it'll be $4.50 or $5.50, a beer instead of $1.50. I mean, I can have a hamburger at that place with a $1.50 beer for $6. But if I have a hamburger at this other place, it's going to be $20 if it's going to be a penny. But that's where the money is, and that's where the people I'm sitting down with. And I'm teaching people how to use NLP to get them to ask me what I do, so they'll ask me how I do it, so I can show them where I get the money, so they can ask me, can I be one of those guys? I never ask anybody for money. Well, I don't say never, but the goal is to get them to ask me if they can play with me. Can I play? Can I be in your game? I want to be one of those guys that's making that money,
Exactly. Exactly. We do it too. And what's real important, and I ask people, because I speak at a ton of events like you do, and some of them are very high level now, but since we teach people how to raise private money, we get brought in to speak at some of those events. And when I ask people, a bunch of investors in a room, I go around with a mic and I say, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And I ask every single person. And I can't tell you ever, unless somebody's heard me speak before, not one person who's actually come up with a good 30-second elevator pitch. Not one. And that's the first thing you gotta work on, because when you're at the 5-star hotel lobby bar, which is a great place that you're probably at, Mitch, doing this, I'm sure, because that's where I used to go. When you're there and somebody asks you finally, so what do you do? They just throw up everything they do, and they tell them everything. They bore them. And if you could just pique their interest and shut up, you'll get people that want to be part of your program so bad, they'll beg you to be part of it.
I help average people achieve above average rates of return on idle money, and I give them very valuable Texas real estate advice.
That's perfect. How do you do that? And then they're going to ask you the questions. And yours is very similar to mine. I raise private capital by distressed debt for the bank, providing better than average returns for people in their IRAs and 401ks or cash.
Oh, I like that. I need to throw IRAs and 401ks in there. That's good. You're always up in your game, too. No matter what you're doing, when you talk to somebody and you find someone who's, doing something right, borrow it, as long as it's legal.
Yeah.
Add to your arsenal.
I mean, shoot, that's why we're doing what we're doing right now, Mitch, right? We're not getting paid for this, right? You're not charging people to be on this webinar right now. But that's why we do what we do, is because we don't have a scarcity mentality. I love when I see people doing things the right way. I can tell you there's a very big organization out there that's funny. Some of my paperwork my students have come back to me with. They told me that this organization was using my paperwork, and I can care less. It doesn't bother me in the least. At least they whatever it is, they saw my paperwork, they liked it, and they figured, let's put it out there. And that means a lot to me, because I don't live in a world set of scarcity beliefs. I don't believe in competition. I believe in co-opetition, like a friend of mine says. My friend Joel says he calls it co-opetition, and I think we should. Co-opetition, and that's not my. Joel, a friend of mine, Joel, had said that. But I believe that we should all, people like yourself and I and the greats out there. There's some really good people out there that they do these, and that's why I love to be on, because we get offered, and I'm sure you do. We get asked to be on a lot of podcasts. And we're really particular on whose podcast will go on, because I want to make sure they're doing the right thing for their audience, and they're out to really put good content out there, and they're there to help the community. Because if we don't do this and we don't help people, we don't talk about private money being so important, then really what's happened is we're gonna destroy our industry. The government's gonna. The reason I don't do owner financing, I always talk about it. I say, if you want to learn owner financing to borrowers, get with Mitch Stephen, because he is the expert at that. I don't like it because I don't like to deal with Dodd-Frank. I don't like to deal with CFPB.
Deal with the fact that the person's it's their homestead, which changes all the rules. You're just a commercial loan. If you have no real rules, you're actually probably not capped, or the cap is very high on usury and all that stuff. And every state's different in Dodd-Frank, depending on their state statutes or their state property code. So, yeah, it's. But what an amazing business that there can be so many different offshoots. You kind of find, you kind of get a business that's tailored to you and your market, and your risk, your ability to accept risk. You're a high risk taker, you're a low risk taker. So let's talk about I have people from 6 to 8% too. Not always, I don't always pay 10%, but it's a matter of risk versus reward. If someone wants to only loan 40% on something, I can make up the difference, and sometimes I do that, because I bought it maybe at only 50. But I say, I'll do that. There's not, that takes almost all the risk out of this deal for you. I got a $100,000 house. You want to load 40,000 in a first lien position. So you lower the rate, you compromise with them. Well, I'll give you that kind of position if that's what it takes to make you feel comfortable. Can you make me feel a little more comfortable about, taking so little out on a property worth so much? And it's just common sense. I'm going to bet you never talk anyone into anything. You just state your case. And then if they want to argue with you or they want to have a lot of pushback, you're like,
I'll tell you this. I actually talk people out of working with me instead of it. I'm very particular. I do not take people's money right away. I'm very particular on who I work with. And I tell more people, and I don't know if people believe this, but I tell more people, and that's how easy it is to raise private money. I tell more people I'm probably not a fit for you. There's a lot of people that would raise money out there, and I would probably think you're better off with them. I'm not a fit for you. I am so laser focused on what I will do. I don't work with micromanagers. If I don't want to sit down and have a beer with you, then you're not going to work. I'm not going to have your money in my deal.
Because you will learn very quickly that you can take money from people that are a pain in the ass, and it's not worth it. And there's other. It doesn't happen very often, but there's some money you don't want to take because it's not coming from legal sources, and I know people sometimes for that. So I mean, if I even smells anything like that, I'm out.
And that's what, and even with me, like I'd rather pay people a higher interest rate. So I'd rather pay them. Even if I had to pay 10% for somebody who's a sweetheart to work with, you want to help them out. You don't want to mule people out. Like I said, I have some investors that come to me and said, listen, we're happy with 5% right now. If you can give us 5% a deal, and that's really taking advantage of them. I wouldn't pay somebody 5%. There are some times we do 6, 7%. Like I said, we have that. But I would pay somebody 10% if it made sense on a deal. If I'm very fat on that deal, I know I have no problem. I don't have to stress myself to cover it. And you want to take care of somebody. But
well, the reason why, when I'm offering that kind of money, it's for a longer term. It's for a, it's like a fixed longer term. And if they want to do that, I'll definitely pay the 10%. But normally people want shorter terms. You know what I mean?
See, I'm for whatever reason, for me, it's exactly opposite. My people don't want shorter terms. Think about it. My focus is investors generally in their, mid 40s. They're IRAs, 401ks, they're business owners. I have doctors, I have attorneys, I have business owners. They're not touching the money for 15 to 20 years anyway. They don't want even monthly payments. A lot of them, they're like, I'll take the payment at the end. Don't even give it to me. They'll give me the money for 20 years. They don't, because they can't use it. So we don't take it for that. We generally tell people, anywhere from 1 to 5 years, we have the money. And my normal is 3 to 5 years. It just works for us the way we buy our deals. But the way you do it, you should have, listen, if I was lending somebody money and I used my 401k, IRA, Coverdell, health savings account, I'm 47 right now. So I'm not touching my money till I'm 60 at least. So somebody's got my money for 13 years. What do I need the monthly payment? What does that do for me? Now, if it's somebody I'm starting out with, I want to make sure they make payments. That's a different story. So yeah, if you tell people I'm going to give you, 10% of your money, if you let me hold it for 3 years instead of 1 year, I don't see it being a problem. My biggest problem, I'll tell you my business, my biggest problem is every time I pay somebody back, I've never seen it. They really get mad. They really get upset because they're like, do you mean I'm not going to get that check anymore? I'm not. And I feel the stress of having to put their money back into a deal so fast. So, and I don't want to put their money in a deal that I wouldn't rest my own money in. So I'm sure you see the same thing. So I don't think a problem is having the money too long. I think it's my biggest issue is paying them back, because when I pay them back, I feel like I got to rush now to get that money back out there.
Well, people have sent me like, I just want 5 years. And then I've been borrowing that money on 5-year terms for 25 years, They never wanted it back. And when like you said, when I did give it to them back, they said, you get it back out, That's really the dynamic between a bank. A bank's always calling you when you're going to pay down, when you're going to pay off. And the private person's like, you're going to do what? You're going to pay me off? Well, when can you get it back out? You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you have you teach this, right? You teach how to raise private money?
Yes, I've been teaching this for a lot of years now.
Okay, so you have a free giveaway. Tell us what it's about. You said it's called the free cheat sheet. What is it about? What's that cheat sheet?
I wrote this myself. It's when I speak at an event, I always give them out to people, and I like to give something for free to people. I always believe you give to get, right? So we give it. It's basically my 7 steps to how I do my business. Everything from building a team in emerging market. You know, what markets I look for, how do I look for markets? How do I raise private money? So it's a quick cheat sheet. I think it's, it's 6-7 pages, but it's a free giveaway. I wrote it myself. So it's a nice little giveaway for people, but 7 steps to how I do my business.
Okay. I want you guys to go to REInvestorSummit.com/Dan Z as in zebra, and go there and get your free cheat sheet on the 7 steps of how Dan runs his business and how it's set up and how he does what he does. I have a very important question for you.
Yes.
I know you see the same thing out there I do. But I'm curious to know, what is the biggest limiting belief that you find people have that stops them from going to raise private money?
One of the biggest, they don't believe they could do it. The biggest limiting belief is they don't believe they can do it. They don't believe they're worthy of it. They don't believe they have the experience or the knowledge to do it. That's the biggest limiting beliefs I see in this industry. And we talk to people all the time, and we ask them, one of the questions we always ask them is, what's your biggest concern, or what's your biggest issue? And we hear all the time, well, I don't have the experience. I don't know how to do it. I don't believe that I don't believe I know enough people. That's a big one. I don't believe I know enough people.
I don't know people with money.
Exactly. And I'll tell you this, I don't have a tremendous amount of private, and we've raised $30 million and used it since 2009 at $200 million of velocity. That's how we've turned it. And we only have 42 active investors. We don't have a ton. I want people to understand that. You probably have a lot more than that, Mitch.
I have 24 million and I have 36 people.
Oh, wow. I would have never guessed that. I thought I'm one of the only guys that like not, because I hear people talking about they have 100, 200 lenders, and ask how much money they have. And they're like, I have $1.5 million, I can get 2 million. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. So I thought I was one of these guys with I almost embarrassing that I only have 42. I keep working with the same people I very rarely even go out looking for new people nowadays. But I'm always talking about it. So I like working with the same, like I said, if I don't want to have a beer with you, I really don't want to work with you. And I understand that there's other, and I know this because, and I know it's 42 because when we do our holiday parties, we send it out. We send 42 invitations out. So I know now, not all 42 always have money ready to go, but I have 42 active private lenders, and we raised $30 million from that. So I want people to, I'm not saying to impress you, it's to impress upon you. You don't need hundreds and hundreds of private lenders.
When you start out, you don't even need $1 million. You just need 200.
No.
You know what I mean? You don't, and so, I mean, I didn't start out with 36 people. I started out with my mom and my dad. Then I proved the concept. And then I started out with, some aunts and uncles. And then I proved it a little further. And then they started recommending some people. But the biggest slowdown in that progression was I didn't know how to present it to people where they could swallow it. Because if you tell too much, it's information overload. So you got to get it down to a concise, meaningful, A, B, C, D, E, F, G done, or maybe just A, B, C, D, E, F, enough. If you're interested, we're good. I also.
It's a perfect KISS method right there. But you're right. Present it right. Present it as a professional. And don't spew up everything you know.
And I think one of the top things is do your damnedest not to ask anybody if they're interested or they want to be part of it. The challenge is, can you get them to raise their hand and go, hey, I want to be one of those guys. Hey, that business model you just explained, how are you getting the money? How are you paying those guys? What's their collateral again? Hey, can I be one of those guys?
And that's great. You say that. There are some tricks I use some, it's like little tricks that I do. And I'll give you one right here for your audience, right? Whenever you put something together, right, you should have a warm audience. And you really should do this with your warm audience, not your cold audience, not people you don't know yet. But you always ask them for feedback. Hey, I'm going to be sharing this with my potential partners in the future. Can you review what I have to let me know your feedback before I present it to them? Make them to read through everything. I can almost guarantee, I don't guarantee a lot. I don't guarantee anything in life, other than I'm going to mitigate risk as best I possibly could. But I'm going to almost guarantee if you have a good warm list, somebody on the list is going to ask you, Mitch, I didn't even know you were doing that. Can you tell me more? It works every single time with every one of my students, and every single one of them has raised over $100,000 doing that, at least over 100,000. Some have raised close to $1 million just on that one little trick alone. So whatever documentation you have, whatever presentation you have, send it out to your warm audience and just say, hey, can I ask you a favor? That's your headline. Can I ask you a favor? I'm going to be sharing this with my potential partners in the future. Would you mind giving me some feedback on how it looks, positive or negative? It'll cause them to read through your information without you asking for $1. And they'll say, wow, I didn't know, Mitch. I didn't know you were doing this, Mitch. How do I get involved? It works every time.
Go to your friend that you know is very financially successful and say, hey, I'm getting ready to get in front of some people and discuss an opportunity for them. You're a successful businessman. Can you look at my presentation and tell me, am I missing anything? Is there something that jumps out at you that's a red flag? Or can you bless this thing for me, like look over it? He's a businessman. He's a businessman. He's going to go, by the time he finishes reading your stuff, he's going to go, that's pretty damn good. You got any? Can I call a couple of your people, see how this been working out for them? Yeah, call them. Call all 30 of them for all I care. If it's serious.
Exactly. That's all. I'm telling you, that's not all we do, but that's a part of what I do with my students, and it works almost every time.
The thing about private money that I've noticed, it's been the one constant in my entire 20-plus year career. I have never stopped really sniffing the air when people walk by. Is that guy a potential private lender? Is that lady a potential private lender? It's always running through my mind. I've learned over the years, it's like part of my DNA now. I can tell who to walk up to.
I'll tell you this. You say that, but I'll tell you this, and I tell this story all the time. My best private lender to this, I shouldn't say my best, my private lender who's lent me the most money in velocity out of the 200 million, he's put over $8.4 million in my deals. So it's the most, he's invested the most. I never in a million years, I found them in a place it was an art birthday party, and it was an art at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. A family member rented out a room. They did a wine, cheese, and art. I'm not into artwork. I'm a half a character. I'm a jokester. So I'm on there and I'm talking. I'm making fun of the artwork like an idiot that I am. I'm always joking around. And this guy walks up to me and he says, so what do you know about such and such artist? And I said, I didn't know. And we started talking, and he knew everything about it. And I acted like I was someone interested, and I really can care less about artwork. And he started asking me what I did, and I gave him my elevator pitch, and we had a conversation for about 40 minutes. Nice guy. Well, a day and a half later, I got a call from my wife's uncle and says that Dave wants to speak to Dan. He wants to meet with you for coffee. And I'm thinking, well, we didn't talk about him investing with me. There was no reason for him to meet with me for coffee. Why am I going to go to Manhattan to meet with him? But my wife's like, just go meet with him. My uncle asked you to meet his friend. Go meet with him. Okay, I went and met with him. Well, we sat down at that point, and that's why I'm saying it's like the millionaire next door. I never in a million years thought this guy even had money. And he wound up investing right away about 300 grand with me immediately, right away about 300 grand. And from there, he's been one of my top investors. And this was about 7 years ago now. That's 2013.
I find that very successful people, especially self-made people, are very quick to make a decision. Once they believe in you, they go all in. Once they decide that the situation and the paperwork and the collateral, it's all real, and they agree with it, then they're very fast movers. They don't, they may not even call any references. And I do try to make people call at least 4 or 5 of my references, because I don't want anyone loaning money to me, laying awake at night wondering who I am or what my ulterior motive is. You talk to these people that have loaned me money for 15 or 20 years, you can, a lot of that can be put to rest, right? You know, like people don't keep loaning you money decades after decades because they're not getting paid, you know,
Right.
that they're having a lot of problems. So the other thing is, it's very hard to judge a book by the cover. I tell the story about this guy used to deliver the UPS packages. He was a UPS driver. And every day he'd come in my office, so I kind of got to know him in that way that you know somebody, but you don't really know him at all, you know, but you know his name, you say hi to him every day, but I don't really know anything about the guy.
Right.
One day I'm going in the grocery market, and you know, we learn as private speakers, we learn to listen with different ears. Like I hear things different than the average person when people talk to me. So I'm at the local big box grocery store, and I get out of my car, and he's getting out of his car, not the UPS truck, but his car, his personal car, right by me. And we're merging right into walk into the store. And I look at his car, and it is a piece of crap. And it's got stuff on the dash just like a hoarder car, you know, like every piece of mail he ever had is on the front.
Does he have the bouncing dog on the front?
And I walk in and, hey, you know, so and so, how's it going? He says, yeah. He says, so they give you the day off, huh? From driving the truck. He said, yeah. He said, I said, how long you been? I was trying to make small talk with him. How long you been driving the truck for UPS? He said, 25 years. You know what I heard?
Yeah, stocks, 401k, pension.
Yeah. But you know, if you looked at his car, you'd say he's broke. But when he said he'd been driving for UPS for 25 years, I said, this guy has a hell of a 401k. They do this really good matching thing there. You know, I kind of knew that. And so I said, so, you know, now it's like game on, baby. Game on. I got the camo on. I got everything going, you know. I got the seat put on me. I'm like, wow, don't they have that? Don't they have a pretty good retirement, like 401Z or whatever, what is 401 something? Don't they like match you when you put it into that thing, you know? He goes, yeah, they got a 401k and they do matching. How much do they match? And I forget what he told me, but it was like something really impressive, like 50% or I don't remember. And I thought, holy crap, they match him that much, you know? So I said, so, wow, a smart guy would have put a lot of money into that. And then he just caves in, you know? Yeah, well, I used to have $1 million in there now because I did it every time there was a chance to match. But, you know, the stock market really screwed me over. It's only worth like $600,000 now. I'm like, bingo, you know, right, I was right. And then it says, then I did, you know, the next words out of my mouth, you know, well, you know, you really don't have to live that way. You don't have to live by a ticker tape, you know, forever. So if you ever want to talk about that, give me a buzz. And he did, and we did, and you know, things are different today. But, you know, don't judge a book by a cover because there's a lot of people that have a lot of wealth they can't touch for years, like 59 and a half to get to your, you know, you have to be 59 and a half to get to your IRAs or these 401ks as a general rule. You know, there are some exceptions.
Right.
Inherited IRAs are an exception. That's one thing about TaxFreeFuture.com. We're telling people all this stuff about the different things that you can do with these tax deferred and tax-free savings plans is because they're very powerful, but you got to know what the rules are. I mean, you can't win a Monopoly game if you don't know the rules to Monopoly.
Yeah, and you got to play in a different pool of water than you're playing in now because they're not teaching this in school. Your financial advisors they're not going to tell you this because they don't make commissions on it, but they don't even know this. No, when you tell them, hey, listen, you want to self-direct your IRA, oh, you could do that. I want to buy real estate. Oh, you can do that. Well, it's putting you in a fund. So, you know, I don't know if you've done it, Mitch, but how many calls I've been on with somebody's financial advisor at one of these companies. I won't even mention all these companies out there, but these houses. And we tell them, great. They say, well, they could invest. Your client could invest in real estate if they want. I go, great. Of course, they're closing on 123 Main Street, so I'm going to give you the wiring instructions so you can wire funds to those for that deal. Like, no, they can't do that. Exactly. So, and I always tell people, challenge your financial advisor, challenge your accountant, challenge your attorney. I teach people, you have to be able to teach people. You have to understand and become a student in the game. And you have a lot of training here as well, Mitch. If become a student in the game, it's not hard. Learn how people could pay their kids tax-free, up to $12,200 a year tax-free. If you teach them business owners how to do that, and to save money on taxes, who do you think they're going to come to invest that $12,200 that they just put away for their kids? Now, let's say they have 3 kids. That's $36,000, up to $36,000 a year under 18 years old that they could pay them tax-free and write it off. And now those kids could start investing in real estate deals, and now those kids could pay for their own college education or pay for their own clothes or movies. And once you start doing that, you become a little different than everybody else out there. And no, that's when you go from good to great. That's why I always tell my students, that's when you come from good to great, when you become a content king.
Almost any business in the world can use private money. You know, but the art of raising private money is well worth learning. I'm talking to every listener out there right now. If you took the year off and just went with Dan to concentrate on how to become good at raising private money, it would probably be the best, most lucrative year of your life, because it would be a talent that went on forever and ever and ever, and you could never want or lose a deal because you couldn't find the funds in time. You know, so it's a huge talent that you need to hone, and it doesn't come natural to most people, and you have to sit down and work at it a little bit. But I will tell you this: I know the biggest fear out there, people don't think they can do it, and usually all the reasons why they think they can't do it is pointed right at them. I'm too young. I don't speak English well enough. I have bad credit. I haven't been in the business that long. I don't have experience. It goes on and on and on with the I's. I can't, I don't. Well, here's the big news. It isn't about you. It's about the deal. Charles Manson should have been able to get this money from prison, right? Because he's either going to repay you as agreed, or you're going to get Charles Manson big house that's worth a lot more. So who cares how many people he killed? Just give him the loan and hope he doesn't pay you.
Love that. That's the title for your next book, Mitch.
Be able to get the money. Of course, he's deceased now. But Manson should have been able to get the money. Yeah,
exactly.
Start today. It doesn't matter. You know, there's other people out there teaching this too. I've looked. Mine is different than. I'm trying to think of their name.
There's so many, because everybody, you want to learn, if you want to learn from somebody who's raised private money, who's actually using it for the business, right? So everybody has different ways. There's no right or wrong. I won't teach somebody else. I won't teach somebody your way, because it's not the way I raise private money, right? And that's take a little bit from everybody and put it together, and whatever works best for you works best for you. The
pitch for a landlord's different than the pitch for someone who's wrapping a note, is different for a pitch from a guy who's flipping. The pitches are different.
Right.
The PowerPoint is different for each one of them. So figure out what you're doing. Find someone who's raising money doing exactly what you're doing, and that's probably your best bet. Although I have looked at all the other, Jay O'Connor, and I've looked at the other guys. They're doing it completely different, but there were things that I gleaned from it. You know what I mean? I thought,
sure.
I can use that.
You should.
That was a good piece. That was a great elevator pitch. Man, I'm telling you right now, I heard your elevator pitch. Will you say it one more time, please?
I raised private capital. I raised private capital I raised capital to acquire distressed assets for the banks, providing better than average returns to people with their self-directed IRAs, 401ks, Coverdales, health savings.
I'm going to add IRAs, 401ks, Coverdales, etc. into my pitch just from talking to you.
Because I get when I never used to say the 401ks, IRAs, but I get that, and people said, well, I know I can't take out my 401k because I'll get penalized, and they start asking those questions, and it leads to a conversation without me telling them, right? I've changed it also when I work with business owners, help business owners. I raise capital to buy distressed debt from the banks, helping business owners provide capital for their minors to help them pay for their college. I've said that too. I kind of gear it towards who I'm at, but it's always I raise capital. My first thing I say is I raise capital. Now, I raise capital to buy distressed properties that you see on TV, those fix and flips. I provide better than average returns to my investors. That's what I would say if I was a fix and flipper.
One thing's for sure. The fix and flip industry is very, very romantic. It's got a lot of gloss on it, and everyone wants to talk about it. So as soon as someone hears that you're involved in the fix and flip business, they generally want to know more. And you can start to hear the conversation, which is the great thing. The biggest aha moments, though, that I've had in my life, and I'm going to guess it's true for you, is when you figure out that's why they say that the way they do, and that's why it'll work for me, or that's why this, when you plug yourself in to go and finally figure out how it could work for you. Because a lot of this stuff people believe, well, that works for them, but I'm not them. When the aha moment comes when you go, oh, guess what? That will work for me. I am one of them.
Now here's what they also got to understand, Mitch. Here's what your audience has to also understand. I mean, you came through even probably before me. I'm doing this 29 years, but I came through in an industry where I didn't have Zoom. I didn't have Facebook groups. I didn't have all these webinars. I didn't have these events. I had 3 speakers back in the day. It was Colton Sheets, Russ Whitney, and Robert Allen. And I went to their events and I bought all their stuff, their CDs at the time and their books. And that's all I had. I didn't have anywhere else to go from there. Right now, I mean, we give so much information out now. If people do nothing else but take the information we gave them, the little bit of information we gave them, right, and go out and put something together. Now, they don't know what to put together, but they know put together something. They could start researching it, or they can go to one of their trainings and they can like fast track it. Or if they say they don't have the experience, they can go to a Mitch Stephen and say, hey, Mitch, I found all these properties in your neck of the woods in I forgot, in Texas, wherever you're at. I don't have any money to pay you, but I'm going to bring you value. I'm going to bring you these properties for free. So you show me how to do this. You don't have to pay me anything, but I want to learn from you. Would you mentor me on doing this? They're going to bring you a ton of value.
That's how I got some of my biggest partners. I didn't want partners, but they were willing to give and prove themselves. And then lo and behold, we started doing some business together. I liked them. They were the kind of people I wanted to have a beer with. And we would start small and little deal at a time. And then pretty soon it's like, man, we're doing so much business together. We either have to form a corporation or I got to get you out of my book. I got to form a whole different thing. So that's how it starts. I never really said to myself, I need to go out and find a partner. They just evolved,
Right. And that's the benefit now, that you have the ability to do that. So when people say, I don't have the experience, you do have the experience because you have mentors out there. If you say, I don't know enough about the market, you do know enough about the markets. Why would you invest there? You didn't know about it. You did your due diligence. You know who's on your team. I don't have a team. You do have a team. Who's going to fix the property for you? Who's going to rent it out for you? Or who's going to sell it for you? What realtor are you using? How do you know the value of the area? How do you know the market? Why do people want to live in that area? So people don't believe they know enough, but they do know enough. And that's the biggest problem, is their self-limited beliefs. And if they get over that, they can shoot for the moon. And I don't just say that as this quirky shoot for the moon, but they really have more knowledge than they believe they have. And they have a great team because they're learning from somebody. And it could be you, Mitch. It could be somebody else. They're learning from somebody, so they have mentors. And if they don't, they should definitely have a mentor.
Okay, so this is what I always say. We'll get go. When you find out what you want to do and use the internet and all the free stuff to sort through it all. There's plenty of stuff. When you find out definitely what the strategy is you want to use in your marketplace, then find someone who's been doing it very well, and research that person. Make sure they're the kind of person that you want to be on the field and off the field, because there's no separating the two really. They're going to blend together at some point. And then write a check, because you're either going to pay the street or you're going to pay the mentor. There's no getting around it. Knowledge costs money. You're going to learn it one way or you're going to learn it the other way. One way is a lot easier, smoother, and a lot less tragic, possibly, And
I would say paying a mentor is going to be a lot cheaper than your first mistake. Should be a lot cheaper than your first mistake. And I know, like riding a motorcycle, and I've had this conversation before. I said, if you haven't fallen down, get ready, because you're going to fall down, and you got to be okay with falling down. You got to be okay with making the mistakes, because we've all made mistakes. And if somebody tells you they haven't made a mistake, either they're not in the business long enough or they're probably lying to you. But what I could tell you this is, I've never lost $1 for an investor of mine. I've lost my own money plenty of times, plenty more than I care or even talk about. But that's what having a mentor was, because we'll put that stop sign up and say, whoa, stop right there. You're about to run into a ditch. Stay away from that. You're going to run into a ditch, and that's why I tell people, I said, if you want to learn owner financing, seller finance to owners, hook up with Mitch Stephen, go online, look at him, because he's the expert in owner financing to owners. If you want to learn how to seller finance to investors in emerging markets, well, I'm the guy that does this, inside and out. This is what I do every day, It's my business full time. I don't jump around to different things. That's what we do. We raise private money and we sell a finance to investors. I don't particularly sell a finance. I used to sell a finance to owners. I don't do it anymore because I don't want to deal with the Dodd-Frank. But you have it all figured out, Mitch. So I tell them, just follow you. I have people that hit me up all the time. They're like, I'd rather deal with owners. And I tell them, follow Mitch Stephen. He's the guy that, this is what he does. He does thousands of deals doing this.
I wouldn't have a clue how to do what you're doing. And I'll say the same thing. Like, someone's really afraid of Dodd-Frank, I'll say, go talk to Dan. He's got a bar. You don't have to deal with that, you know?
Right.
I'm going to guess it's pretty much virtual, right? You're not driving around looking at all these properties all over.
No. If I'm driving around looking at properties, the only place I'm going is like Honolulu to buy or the Caribbean somewhere. I'm not going to Ohio and Tennessee and Alabama to look at properties. I mean, I do go there maybe a couple times, and I go there. It's more because I want to have a beer or dinner with my contractors, my property managers, it's more of a relationship thing. But, you know, we have this dialed in so much right now in our industries that we don't have to go out and drive out there and see it. Now, I live in Delaware, so I do get out and see properties, and I enjoy seeing them, and I enjoy talking. You know, this quarantine really has me that, you know, I can't be with people as much as I want to. I'm a people person. I like getting out and seeing people face to face, having joking with them, having lunch. I enjoy, that's part of the business I enjoy. Now, other people's like, well, you don't have to do that. You sit in the house the whole time. That's for them. That's not the way I want to do business. I like the face-to-face. I like shaking your hand. I like looking at you in the eye. Even my lenders, I like to meet with them if I could. But being that we have them all over the place, I do get to meet with them as I travel and speak at events. I do set up meetings with them. But it's a little, now we're doing it all on technology. We're using Zoom, so we don't let the economy destroy us. We use it and do the best we can do with what's going on right now.
All right, well, I want you guys to get the free cheat sheet and learn the 7 key things that Dan does in his business. Go to REInvestorSummit.com/Dan Z, as in zebra, or as in Dan Zitofsky. Check it out. Great guy, common sense, salt of the earth, likes to do it right, protect everybody in the deal, make sure everybody gets what they want. That's why he's on the show, because he's that kind of guy. Really appreciate people like you. You know, there's a lot of bad players in every industry, and I hate it when I see the bad players in our industry not paying back, filing bankruptcies and doing things. It's always refreshing to see someone, you know, who can look back through a long career and go, never happened, never even came close. You know? And we both believe in that, and we both live that way. So I'm glad to have you on. Anything you'd like to say to some people who need to go out and raise private money but just haven't found the nerve?
Definitely get yourself two things. Get yourself with a mentor and put together a package. Treat this like a business. Don't just ask for money. Put together a package where you can present what you're doing, never ask for money, and stay consistent. Those are the things I would definitely recommend you do.
I'll add to that one bit. Don't beg for money. You're actually out there to do people a favor and get them in a better position than they're at right now. And that's who you're looking for. Who can you better their position? Those people will say yes a lot faster. So don't beg for money. You're offering a better position for people, and you need to treat it like that because it comes through in your presentation. When people run from beggars. People are attracted to people that can help them. So this is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for stopping by to get you some Dan Zitofsky up there in Delaware. Again, REInvestorSummit.com/Dan Z. All right, we're out of here, boys and girls. Please check in with TaxFreeFuture.com. Watch the 37 little video vignettes. Learn how to make little bitty pieces of money into great big bundles of money in a tax-deferred or tax-free retirement plan. It's a neat, well-kept secret. Not that anyone's keeping it a secret, but you know, the reason why the rich get richer is they study this stuff and they know where the laws are and where the cracks and the crannies are, and they're available to every person in the whole nation and the whole world. You just have to get off your butt and go there and learn about what they're doing. And same thing, if you don't want to pay taxes like those rich guys, well, just study what those rich guys studied and create an economy, and you won't have to pay any taxes either. It's available to anybody in the world that wants to do it. So this is Mitch. We're out of here.